TV. I'm your host, Kyle Ellicott, and we've got a fun promotional and entertaining episode for you today. And all jokes aside, we're going to be talking about what's happening right now in Q4 2020 as things decide to change here in 2020, looking ahead to 2021 in advertising, media, and entertainment. My play on puns might not be great, but why not? Anyways, we're going to be talking about what's happening in these three industries as so much has changed as we look not just at 2020, but the decade previously. Each of these three areas were going through different advancements, we're going through different evolutions as technology was being integrated, as data was being collected, as data was being used to learn to create new behaviors, create new models, new products, new services. And as us as consumers were changing as well. These three industries have gone through an adoption process. Now, as we look at 2020, everything got accelerated. We know that. We talk about it every day here on VCTV. Now, where do things go from here? How does the advertising business and industry change looking ahead to 2021? When we bring in immersive, when we start to look at how blockchain or transparency plays a role into this, how does media change as our mediums have adjusted, how we're doing more streaming than we are in theater? What does that mean for the future of platforms as well? And then entertainment. How do we want to be entertained? What does that look like for us? What's what we're going to find out here on VCTV as we've brought the best and the brightest from around the world as experts and investors to share with you their thoughts and insights on these areas and what's happening on the ground in different regions around the world. And with that, a big thank you to you, our audience, for tuning in. If you like what you hear today, do click subscribe. And as an investor, if you'd like to be on a show like today, do reach out to the team and or myself, and we'd love to find the right set of investors for you to join and also topics for you to speak on, for you to share your thoughts and insights on technologies, industries, and regions around the world. Entrepreneurs, there's less than 90 days, less than 3 months to get anything else you need done in 2020. This is the time you're out fundraising. This is the time you're getting your products out into consumers' hands. This is the holiday season, the biggest shopping time of the year, and even more so importantly here in 2020. There's a virtual stage here at VCTV that we host for you to come up and join us and pitch us as investors focused on your area of expertise and industry to get real-time feedback, but also get a chance to build a foundational relationship with us who may be looking at potentially helping you out with your business, and to our real-time audience, who you never know who could be tuning in, could be your next advisor, investor, or so much more as well. So do reach out to the team and or myself, and we'll find the right set of investors for you. And a big thank you to the LATOKEN team and Emmanuel for making VCTV possible every single day. With that, I'm your host, Kyle Ellicott. Let's go ahead and introduce our panel today, as we've got a lot to talk about in a short amount of time, as it's Taco Tuesday here. Let's have a little fun. There you go, Noble. You weren't expecting that one, and I'm kicking you off first. A little intro, a little background for everybody.
Hey, good morning, everybody. My name is Noble Dracone. I'm the managing partner of Dracone Capital Partners, as well as an advisor to M Accelerator, an accelerator incubator in Los Angeles. I've been in the industry for 25 years as a broker, hedge fund operator, 7-time author on investing, and I love being on these kind of panels because I get the chance to learn even more. So happy to see everyone and glad to be here, Kyle.
Absolutely, and always happy to have you. So much to share. It doesn't matter what topic it is. It's crazy how much experience you have in each of these, and a lot of that goes to some of what we're going to be talking about today, and how the technologies you're involved with are so intertwined with these three very important areas and how they're intertwined back to so much of our daily lives. With that, Nicole, welcome back to the show. It's always a pleasure. A little intro, a little background for everybody.
Hi. It's good to be here today. Thanks for having me, LATOKEN and Kyle. I have a very deep background in this subject matter. I've been building marketing consultancies, and in the earliest days when I was building my first consultancy in the 90s, late 90s, so it's going to date me, I was taking equity stakes from the companies I was working with. So even back then, I was taking an investment model and providing a lot of branding, positioning, messaging, go-to-market strategy work. And that's what I'm doing now with my company called Outfront Solutions. And we're doing that for Fortune 500 companies down to middle market companies, even well-funded startups. So I still have my foot in that world, really knowing what it takes to be telling your story this year. And this year, it's all about reimagining your brand, how you are curating that stakeholder journey. So it's really an interesting time. My other foot is squarely in investing, and I have a fund called How Women Invest. And we just recently announced a first close of that fund. And what we are is a fund that is all LPs, mostly women and predominantly women of color. And we are investing in female founders and really looking to move the needle, because that world is really way behind, and that isn't right. It's a skew, and we're looking to increase the percentage of investment in female founders and also predominantly women of color. So that's my story, and I'm glad to be here.
Wonderful. Welcome back. For those who have not checked out How Women Invest, absolutely a wonderful fund, and definitely worth checking out. Not only a shameless plug, but also just really highly recommended. If you are out there fundraising, fit the mandate, or may not be sure, definitely do reach out to Nicole and the entire outstanding team behind that fund. Definitely something that's a big focus here into 2021 if you're looking to do fundraising. So shameless promotion for Nicole. Plenty more to come. Adrian, welcome back. Little intro, a little background for everybody.
Hello, everybody. Thanks for having me here again. My name is Adrian Niculescu. I'm involved in a few projects. CloudCoin Consortium, which is a post-blockchain digital currency. Faster Capital, which is a Dubai-based accelerator and incubator of companies. I'm also a mentor in Virgin Startups, Richard Branson's program in UK, and also an up-and-coming music producer. I'm not involved in gaming, but I'm very involved in advertising and entertainment, and even I have a 10 years old agency, and we are building funnels and marketing systems, and I'm all the time with my head in the advertising world. How to say. Thank you very much for inviting me. Very happy to be here and to contribute.
Absolutely, we're happy to have you. And also, I will tease you, you're also a new time subscriber to Netflix when it comes to the entertainment industry, as we teased you on a previous episode around this topic, and you finally joined. So excited to have that come full circle as well here in a little bit. But with that being said, Mark, always also a pleasure. So much to share, so much insights with all of your experience in this industry, but I won't share. I'll let you tease it out. A little intro, a little background. Welcome back to the show.
Hey, what's up, Kyle, man? Good to see you again. Good to see Noble and Robbie. And I wish I had a story like Nicole, man, because starting out, I've worked with so many brands that today are worth billions of dollars, from Verizon to Nike to HBO, and I should have taken equity there, but that is my an equity stake in people I did business with, because I've always been a project-driven guy, and did big projects from concerts to MMA in 2005, 2006, 2007. So I've been in entertainment. Well, I started in 1998 in Miami with Miami Hip Hop Fest. You know the DJ Khaled story, right? $400 a day. Paid him $400 a day to host the whole thing, like 12 hours in the Miami sun, right? But I was so focused on projects and being the man that I lost focus on what Nicole was looking at. And that's so smart. If you're going to make somebody big, make yourself big with them, because you're putting in your time, you're putting in a lot of things. But when you work with that work for hire thing, you lose the focus. So I started to evolve pretty quick, but what I started doing was building my own vendors. So if I was spending a lot of money on advertising, I would buy an advertising agency or start one, and then I would be paying myself. That wasn't the approach. That was the wrong approach. I wish I had Nicole as a consultant back then, but that's what I'm doing now. So fast forward to now, still investing in sports, music, entertainment, because it's one now. You can't be in sports and not be in music. You can't be in music and not be in entertainment. You can't be in entertainment and not be in gaming. So it goes on and on. I'm sweating here. I'm in Costa Rica right now, and it's really hot. And I just came in from the sun from running. So, fast forward to now, I'm looking for companies that are broke. I'm not looking for companies that are well-funded like Nicole, because I have a motto: broke doesn't equal broken. And if you have the skills, you don't need money. You can do it yourself and, shoestring it and then get a whole bunch of money. A lot of people are getting a lot of money now, not doing anything with it because they still don't have the skills to manage money. And that's a very special skill. So with that said, I'll talk later.
Absolutely perfect. And thank you, Mark, as well.
Yeah.
Robbie, last but not least, welcome to the show. Pleasure to have you. If you can, a little background and a little intro for everybody.
Sure. Hi, I'm Robbie Young. I'm the CEO of Animoca Brands. We're a global mobile game developer, and I think we're best known actually for being one of the leaders in the relatively recent field of blockchain gaming. We focus on leveraging third-party brands to create original entertainment game products. So I think right now we're probably best known for our partnerships with Formula One and MotoGP, with F1 Delta Time, as well as our city builder and world sort of virtual worlds product called the Sandbox. So our focus has really been on building a global game audience, and we think that NFTs and the prospect of true digital ownership of content is going to revolutionize the gaming industry and entertainment in general. Now that we've spent the last 5 years sort of coalescing around streaming models and blockchains allowing us now to have actual secure digital ownership, I think that we're going to see another seismic shift in the industry.
Absolutely. I think we all agree. I'm seeing a bunch of shaking heads. So welcome, Robbie, and excited to dive into that topic. And to kick us off today, Noble, want to come to you first. Is what you're seeing as the current state, how things have changed around advertising, media, and entertainment as a whole here in the end of 2020, looking ahead to 2021. What are you seeing that's changed and that's going to be kind of an up and coming opportunity area in the near future?
Yeah, I mean, advertising has been on a steep trajectory of trying to trick people into buying, into actually interacting and working with people to buy the things that they love based on the people that they love. And so we've seen the huge opportunity through TikTok and TikTok influencers. One of the things that we've been kind of monitoring is how quickly advertisers almost corrupt social media outlets. And so one of the outlying companies that's done really well is a direct-to-consumer peanut butter brand. And they stated what everyone else states. You go to these Instagram guys and, they're asking for the world in order to promote or market your products. When before on Instagram, they were happy just anybody was willing to give them anything or share something with them. Now that's shifted over to TikTok audience. And, a small peanut butter company out of the Dakotas, North Dakota, I believe, is doing over $500,000 a month because they found a few TikTok influencers they're paying like $400 or $500. So that's kind of really the transition. Advertising is constantly trying to really play catch up. And then I think they end up eventually corrupting the place they catch up to. And so the next quote unquote version of TikTok is really it. People really want to hear from people that they trust and believe in, but they also are kind of getting tired of the super mega influencers. What we're doing with our gaming company is we're really focusing on micro influencers more. We're looking at TikTok. We're dealing with a lot of people who are smaller on Twitch, not the bigger guys, because we just know that their influencer base is just solid, real, and really have a loyal following. And so that's really where I think advertisers, for the most part, are trying to understand how do they talk to this ideal set, right? 18 to 34. That's always been their core democratized and market to. And I also think there's been a transition in the other side as baby boomers begin to age. It's been very difficult for advertisers, for the most part, to be able to really communicate what they need, because I think for the most part, you're trying to reach out to them in digital mediums, and yet a lot of people are just kind of burnt out. And so the easiest way that we found is that gaming has become the number one simple kind of product placement for most people. The number of hyper casual gamers that run from late 30s to actually in their mid 60s is exploded. And it's really the main touch point to reach them. So I think that a lot of advertisers just trying to figure out, do you continue to advertise too, or do you do product placement? Do you do the marketing, particularly with us with AR, putting AR in the product? And so it's a very interesting landscape coming at the end of this year and going into next year on how do you communicate with being genuine and authentic.
Absolutely. And with that, Nicole, I want to come to you next. What further are you seeing? I mean, you've been in this industry for a few years. We'll just leave it at that. You've seen a lot transition in these three areas. What are you seeing as the current state of things?
Yeah, I mean, oh my gosh, what a year. For every industry, but in particular in marketing, we've always needed to really leverage technology. I've always said, marketing is a technical discipline, and that is true more than ever, right? That there are all these business models that have had to completely pivot and transform because we're not getting together physically the way we used to. And so what's really critical is, as CMOs, as these, leaders in marketing and as businesses, we need to really bridge that customer journey and sales and operations so that they're all really working together. And I'm actually about to publish an article on marketing technology. Are you a leader or a laggard? And there are still industries that really haven't adopted a lot of the marketing technology, say, manufacturing, even in, healthcare, some of these areas where it's really critical. So, now more than ever, it's so important to take this omni-channel approach so that you're dialing up the volume in the right areas. Like Noble was talking about how, in his industry, it's really important to be leveraging the distribution channel that is TikTok, and yet that's just one. And if you're not being really strategic about your other channels and how they're supportive of, maybe the newer channel, then that effort is going to fall flat. So, it takes a tremendous amount of research, and, the research doesn't even have to be expensive. But the thing that's so critical is to know and understand that customer journey. Really understand it all the way through. And, we've had to be very strategic about the research that we're doing. We've always done lots of secondary market research, but primary research has completely changed. And so we're doing things like focus groups on Zoom and, introducing products. And it's actually really working. And it's giving us the insights that we need to connect with, various stakeholders and understand where they are in the journey. Because again, everything has changed in how we communicate, and it's not going back. We're not going to go back to, only holding events in person. We, have this more digital, the world has been flattened and is more accessible in a lot of ways. So that's not such a bad thing. But it's also super important to, I think in this last year, people have wanted to just take a sledgehammer to their marketing budgets. And what I'm recommending is you take a scalpel to that marketing budget instead, that you're really strategic about that. And you're looking at, how are those channels and messages being tailored to where people are right now. So I could go on about this for a long time. I love it.
No,
Total
this is
marketing
great.
nerd.
Hey, this is great. And just to fuel your nerdism, on that note, I did read an article this morning on Business Insider that touches on both yours and Noble's point around TikTok and the idea of influencers. And it's funny because there were many retail workers or just employees in general who were posting behind the scenes at their restaurants or retail establishments, et cetera, on TikTok. And we're getting in trouble for it because of some things they were doing, but just in general, just showing behind the scenes that people didn't want. Well, now they've switched the game where the employers, so people like Dunkin' Donuts, for instance, who the article calls out, is actually paying their employees to do this and turning their
Encouraging that
employees,
engagement.
right? So to Noble, to your point, micro influencers. So instead of looking at the bigs of the bigs, we're as individuals, we're looking to these micro influencers that brands have now empowered or further encouraging to share about their brands. I mean, this is great. We go back, I would argue in a big stance, like 12 months ago, this would not happen. And we know that. We saw articles of this. 12 months ago, a brand would not necessarily always encourage majority of their employees, let alone their staff, to go out there and share these types of things. Instead, we have that model flipped for both of your points.
And
so
conversational AI, which is a whole nother topic, but chatbots and those have become so important to businesses. Even I'm going to have one on my next evolution of my website. It's just, it's juicy stuff. Yeah.
It's the humanizing of it all, right? So again, and I do plan to come to everybody. I'm not going to dominate this, but it is the humanizing element where we go from the bigger influencers, which Mark will touch on here in a moment with his great stories. But I mean, you go from those big names that you are untouchable in some cases to these micro influencers that feel just like all of us and buy things just as all we do. As well. And Robbie will be touching a little bit more on the digitizing factor of that, I know. And Mark, I want to come to you. What are you seeing in this current state? I rambled for a moment because I thought that was a fun fact to fuel all of us. But thank you, Mark. But I'll turn it to you. What are you seeing as the current state?
Actually, I saw you a little bit dim this morning, and I was scared that you weren't going to ramble, but Nicole rambled you up a little bit. But I see what I always see. And I'm gonna share a story. Kyle likes my stories, and most of my stories are always based on talking to people who are between 80 years old and 100 years old. You know why? Because they're the only people in the world that could cook a meal 5 different ways. They could cook a meal on a fire. They could cook a meal on a gas stove. They can cook a meal on an electric stove. They can cook a meal in a microwave, and they can cook a meal in one of those. You put everything in, set the timer, tell it that it's chicken, and it's done. And we can't do that. I can't do that. I could probably do 3 of those. Nicole can probably do 3 of those. There's no real young people on this. So Kyle, you're the youngest. You can probably do 2 of those, depending on where you're from. But I think you're from California, so those guys do campfires all the time. But that's my point. But getting to advertising, you're going to learn more from the old people. I love influencers. Who's an influencer? Everybody's an influencer. And when you measure influencers, you measure why are they influencers, and you don't need to hire them. You need to become them. You don't have to play the character. You have to be the character. You don't have to pay the character. You have to be the character. So when my clients wanted to get on Times Square, and I would tell them, hey, it costs $30,000 a day or $30,000 a week, or depending on what was happening around Times Square, the price goes up. All these big companies with a lot of money started buying all these billboards in Times Square. I started spending $30,000 building mobile billboard trucks and putting them on Times Square. Everybody's looking up. You come by with a truck with nice music that kind of caters to the atmosphere. If it's Christmas time, you put Christmas music. People see your ad, and they're paying $1,000 a day versus $30,000 a day or $30,000 a week. So you have to be different. I had clients that want me to go and sit down with some of the biggest people in soccer as influencers, and I sit down with those guys, whether it's creative agencies or whoever it is, and it's like, I need $1 million for this spot, and we could only do it 8 times a year because we have so I mean, someone who's blabbing a lot like me right now, you're going to lose interest, and that's what a lot of people are investing in, blabbers. Why are there influencers, and find out why are there influencers. It's better being like Nicole saying, hey, you're a great skateboarder. Come with me and I'll take you to Red Bull. And then Red Bull owns that. I mean, that's happening everywhere now, especially in sports. Sports companies are saying, hey, we have players that have more views and more interaction and more engagement than the entire league. Cristiano Ronaldo has more engagement than all the leagues combined. Every athlete in the world, there's nobody that's bigger than him. You know what I'm saying? So I mean, how does that guy influence me? He doesn't. He's talking to me every time he touches a tweet. I mean, I'm never going to listen to him. And nothing against Cristiano Ronaldo. I think he's a great guy and a great player. But I think, getting to this advertising thing, I think people are just following the trends. And I'm not a trend guy, Kyle. You know me enough to say I'm not a trend guy. I'm going to do what everybody's not doing. I'm going to do. And I mean, I think the only guy on a platform that says that is Vaynerchuk. And I love Vaynerchuk because he's an influencer. I mean, he curses when everybody's like, wow, don't say a bad word over here. You know what I'm saying? And he's using bad words and people don't care he's using a bad word because in between those bad words, he's got some real good, unique information that's real, that motivates. Yo, you broke, go do something. Go sell baseball cards. Go sell your old shoes. Go do something. Everybody's talking about how much money they raise. I don't care about money, man. My ideas are always going to kill your money, always. So, you know me, I'm emotional.
I love it. I don't have a good enough emoji to use for that. So I'm just going to throw this up there.
Well, put Don King's picture on there. He taught me most of what I know.
You're spot on. And Robbie, I want to come to you next. Thank you, Mark.
One more thing. Don King said one thing. Don King taught me one thing that was super important. When nobody wants to pay you $500,000 a ring post, put your own brand there and show them it's worth $500,000. And that's what Don King did.
That's what influencers and micro influencers are doing right now, both to Noble and Nicole's points as well. And we're seeing that being true and will be a big trend in the next 5 years. And Robbie, I feel like you're about to prove me right, along with Mark and Noble and Nicole on this, but give us your current view of where things are when it comes to advertising, media, and entertainment. Your brand, your company focuses so heavily into the digitization of all this.
Sure.
What's your view?
I think, our view is a little bit, our focus is really on customers now, because I think one of the things that separates blockchain games from traditional games is that as customers are able to now own their own content, we've now moved on from content as a service, because if you think about mobile games or online games, they're all software services. You're paying for the time you spend logged on, but once you log off, that's it, it's gone. So it's no different than Netflix or Spotify or other streaming services. You're paying for entertainment by the hour, so to speak. Although it does feel like you own armies and swords and cars or whatever it is in the game, you don't actually own it, it disappears. But in blockchain games, that's different. And so I think one of the things that then changes is the relationship between the customer and the so-called platform, because I think then the content really becomes the platform. As the customers buy content, if I own cars, Formula One car in F1 Delta time, then that's mine to own permanently. And that means that I become important because anybody who wants to build a track or some place for me to use my car can then benefit from my business. So, F1 Delta time is not necessarily going to be the only Formula One game ever out there. People can use the cars we sell elsewhere because other developers can make games for it. And that is a radical, radical shift. It's like, take your Netflix movie over and watch it somewhere else on a different service. That you can't do, right? But with blockchain and NFTs, you can. And so what happens is, for us, the influencers are really our customers, because our customers are the ones who are buying the digital goods, the products, the race cars, what have you, and they tell all their friends because they want to race against their friends. So they're like, hey, this is a cool game, come over and play. Just like King found that, ultimate viral loop with Candy Crush, where people would request lives from their friends on Facebook, and they kind of pioneered that particular viral loop. In our case, it's a little bit more old-fashioned because our customers buy the products and then they tell their friends, hey, this is a cool product and I get more value out of it if my friends buy it too. So please come buy it. So that's our view.
I love it. And I will have a follow-up on that in just a moment. Before I do, Adrian, to you, current state, what are you seeing?
I would like to focus on two ideas. First, on marketing and advertising, I see as new business models, because there are so many platforms focusing on only one thing, let's say you have Calendly for booking meetings, you have Zoom for calls like this one. There are, because fewer years ago it was difficult to do a platform to integrate all of them, let's say. But now, because those platforms, they did most of the mistakes and the technology is pretty easy to be duplicated, I see a trend in platforms, and they are emerging like crazy, trying to offer, like, let's say, a one-stop solution for all your marketing needs. And I will give you a link to share with an audience, a new platform which has a tremendous free level. You can't believe what is offered there. And from the entertainment perspective, I'm pretty concerned by the fact that, I don't know how it is in States, but in the United Kingdom, for the DJs and musicians, the government has a solution for them to change their jobs. This is the solution for the clubs closed, for no concerts and things like that. And most of my friends are freaking out. They say, okay, how can I go to a regular job? And in my CV, there is a 10 years gap when I was a global DJ. What I can say to the employer, you know, Eh, there's a big problem which has to be solved in a way. I told them, by the way, to become an entrepreneur, this is the solution, and to think about how you can do it. So become a winner, not a victim. This is what I'm seeing in these industries. I'm not into gaming, just a little bit, so I don't have an opinion here.
Yeah, I think that's perfect. And as we do come close to the top of the hour, as today is a short episode on Tuesdays, Noble, I want to come to you in areas of opportunity. Where are you seeing that, where people should be focusing and playing their bets here in the next year from your standpoint?
Yeah, Robbie hit the nail on the head. Our gaming company is so focused on NFTs. We're looking at a whole generation of people who have been trained to be consumers, not owners, and they rent cars, they rent homes, they rent entertainment. And so when we start looking at them being able to own specifically, particularly on the blockchain, the games, the things that they use and play, advertisers and marketing really has a huge opportunity to create added value that extends beyond this rent to life model. And so I'm really excited with what's happening in the non-fungible or the NFT space in blockchain, more so than the fiat space, and how that intersects with both gaming and AR and interactivity. I just think that people really, particularly now that our lives are so much spent on the digital world now, they need to own their digital presence, and which also includes, and we need to touch on this, their digital identity and what that means. And we've talked about in the past how AI needs to start collecting people's digital identity on the internet and then consolidating it for people to own and be able to monetize it themselves. So there's some really unique things on the horizon, and there's a lot of great companies that are just literally on the bleeding edge of that space.
Absolutely. And also on that, and I'll just tease this out, another fun fact today, Masari put out a great report on Q3 2020 Web3 activity focusing around NFTs and the growth of those. And we've already seen, according to their report in September of 2020, we saw OpenSea, which is a marketplace for NFTs, amongst other things, surpass over 25,000 users with over $2 million in volume just in September. So just hold that fact. And again, we'll share this along with Adrian and a few other notes in the show notes afterwards. But Nicole, coming to you, thank you, Noble. Nicole, coming to you, where are you seeing the areas of opportunity based on your experience that people should be focusing on?
Yeah, I mean, I could go down the path of more technology and, get, your digital marketing house in order and all these different things. But really what I'd rather focus on is reimagining brands and what do they mean to their customers, and how are there ways that the brand can be more meaningful to customers and have an authentic place in their lives. That's the kind of stuff that I want to see. Those are the companies I want to get involved with. I just this, onslaught and, really just trying to jam products and services down people's throats and, focus on this consumption model. I'm sick of it. And I know it's going to sound old school, and my handle on every social channel is Techie Cat for a reason. I've always loved technology as it's applied to marketing and doing business, but I want brands and people, even personal brands. I want people to think about what are they authentically bringing to the world, and how is that meaningful, and what is that going to do to change the lives of my stakeholders in a positive way.
Absolutely. And Nicole, I know you've got a short time frame, so in case we run over, where can everyone find you online to continue the conversation?
Thank you. The best place to connect with me is on LinkedIn, and I'm Nicole DeMeo on LinkedIn. And if you could please remember to just say that you saw me here, and that's how we met, because I am thoughtful about who I connect with. Yeah, but LinkedIn's the best way, or Outfront Solutions, outfront.solutions is my domain.
Wonderful. Thank you. Mark, to you, areas of opportunity, what are you seeing?
I'm thinking Nicole will probably not friend me on LinkedIn, but she'll remember me forever because I'm the different one. And that's what makes the difference. And that's why I like to be the different one. And sometimes I just say things to say things, but hopefully one day CNN will put me on there to talk fake news and stuff or whatever. But no, Adrian says some good things. Robbie, I love what he's doing. I think he's still way ahead of his time, which is good if he could hold on to that. Noble, always good information. Adrian said something that I think he said something about being the victim and the government or whatever. If you have to listen to the government, you're not an entrepreneur, go get a job. The government is not on our side. The government protects Visa and MasterCard. They don't care about Bitcoin people or whatever. But if you're in the gaming space, and I consult online sports books, mainly in Malta and places like that aren't governed so much by the United States. When the United States in 2006 said no more Visa, no more MasterCard, Bitcoin came a couple of years later, 6 or 7 years later, and those were the people that were using Bitcoin. Those were the people that you could have cryptocurrency conversations with. They were in survival mode. How they're killing our business. What do we do? Crypto became a survival mode, and now everybody's talking about crypto. And where's crypto? Crypto is when the taxi driver is buying $1 million house, it's time to get out of real estate. And the same thing, I say that all the time. When some farmers asking me about Bitcoin, I'm like, okay, it's time to get out of Bitcoin, because farmers aren't gonna, and I don't mean that in a bad way. If they have a young guy, their son or their nephew or their grandson, that guy would be the one that's gonna take farming, if he knows farming, and somehow transition it into a Bitcoin farming type of company. So, I mean, just be different, man. Just be different. I can't ride the trend. I can't ride trends, man. I can't do what everybody's doing. It just makes me uncomfortable. Be different.
Absolutely. Robbie, to you, what are you seeing as current opportunities? I mean, you focus a lot in the NFT space. So would also, as a second question, love to know what your prediction is for the future of NFTs and when that really starts to hit something of mass adoption.
I'd argue NFTs have started to hit. This has been a fantastic blockbuster year for NFTs. I mean, we've gone from a couple $100 million in market cap to about 9 billion in market cap, I think, at the moment, and I suspect maybe going up by another 5 to 10 times that in the next year. A lot of that has been driven by not just games, but also NFT artwork and the intersection of gaming and DeFi, because obviously the DeFi space has been very hot for the last 6 or 9 months. And so what we're trying to do now is see, because people are enjoying NFTs for many different things, and so we're trying to blend a little bit their interests. So what we've done is, for example, on my background here, you see Formula One cars. So we've launched an in-game currency called Rev, which is a tokenized currency, and you can buy cars and race cars, NFT cars, and then as you race them, if you don't want to race them, you can stake them, and you can stake them and earn Rev. And Rev is then also usable in our other motorsports games. And you can trade it on Uniswap and many different platforms. So the idea there is to attract people from different constituencies. Some may be into the game because they want to race. Some may be into the game because they want to speculate on the value of cars. Others may just think, hey, this is a good investment because there are, exclusive Formula One limited edition collectibles here, and maybe they'll go up in value. So I'll stake them and earn a return, a yield on my investment in the short term, and then maybe I'll race it, maybe I'll sell it later, but at least I get some yield in the meantime. So that way we can cater to lots of different kinds of audiences, hopefully who have a shared interest in Formula One in that example.
I love it. Thank you so much. And Adrian, last but not least, we lost Adrian. So gentlemen, as we come to close here, I do want to come to everyone of where they can be found online. Noble, let's start with you. Where can everyone find you online to continue the conversation?
It's always easy to reach me. Noble Dracone on LinkedIn. That's the best place. You can do Twitter at Dracone. Just connect with me, and if there's an opportunity for us to invest, co-invest, or you invest with us, I'm always open.
Love it. Mark, where can everyone find you and all these great companies and brands that you represent as well?
I don't think anybody's looking for me, but it will be marklugo.com or just Mark Lugo at Gmail. I was always ahead of the game, so I had Mark Lugo at everywhere like in 96. We launched our first e-commerce site in 1997, was called Urban Closet, sold out in 72 hours, ran billboards up and down the turnpike. You know the story, Kyle. So
I do.
Mark Lugo everywhere, man, but I'm not the guy who stole a Picasso. That's another Mark Lugo. I don't like that Mark Lugo. He stole all my SEO. Everybody was talking about the guy Mark Lugo who stole a Picasso, and my SEO went never recovered from that.
This is the Mark Lugo that's got the best stories of some of the biggest entertainment, and started this all back in 96 and much longer ago, but 96 is his golden year leading up.
And I want to say one more thing. When I spoke about Bitcoin, I'm not talking about cryptocurrency. I love cryptocurrency and I love LATOKEN. So
thank you,
so
Mark.
don't because people still think Bitcoin is cryptocurrency. I mean,
it's okay.
A lot of people think that.
we're still. I mean, look, we're. It's a great point, and we're still growing in terms of market adoption and education. And this is going to be a growing process for us all. As the entire digital infrastructure that we look at of our daily lives grows, evolves, and changes. So you're good to call that out, and don't stress. Adrian, where can everyone find you online to continue the conversation?
The best place to find me online is LinkedIn. By the way, I need some followers on TikTok. I have only 20, and my daughters have almost 10,000. So it's a shame. But I have to invest more into TikTok. But it's a secret. Don't tell anybody, please. And as a closing thought, if you know the concept of doppelganger, we have like a twin brother somewhere in the world. Our doppelganger is and will be a digital one. So the next business models will focus on that. So this is my closing thought. Thank you very much for having me here.
Thank you very much, Adrian. The future is digital twins. And with that, closing us out, where can everyone find you, Robbie, to continue the conversation?
I'm on LinkedIn, so you can just search for me, and I've put it in the comments as well in the chat.
Wonderful. And thank you all for sharing your thoughts and insights. To your audience, thank you so much for tuning in. If you like what you heard, click subscribe, give us a thumbs up. Do reach out if you'd like to be on a show like today's as an investor to share your thoughts and insights, joining our panel of esteemed investors and experts. Thank you, Robbie. Or if you'd like to be an entrepreneur to pitch us to get real-time feedback and also share your product and service, not only with us, but also our live audience, please do reach out. Thank you, Adrian, to the LATOKEN team and or myself. And with that, a big thank you to the team and to Emmanuel for making VCTV possible every single day. Thank you again, panelists, to each and every one of you for, again, sharing your thoughts. Everyone have a wonderful Taco Tuesday. And with that, I'm your host, Kyle Ellicott. You can find me everywhere at Kyle Ellicott. We'll be back here tomorrow. More VCTV. Take care, everybody.
Take care.
Bye.
See you.